All right, what's up, Coach Schwartz?
Just hanging out, and we have some December gloom, so I can read your questions today.
Yeah, you know what? You can see the track is a bit wet, and I was thinking that the rain was going to scare everybody away, but we've had some military-looking guys doing laps on the track, and we got the soccer club convening,
And Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner was here.
He's looking better than ever.
Yeah, and perfect hair with that guy. So we're doing this Periscope from your account because I am experiencing technical difficulties on my account, but we will upload this to YouTube later, and I might stick it in my mailbag this week, which should be a busy mailbag. And Dave, you didn't watch any of the boxing.
I watched a little
last
bit,
night,
but
a little
it was
bit
too much for me.
Yeah,
but
overwhelming.
I taped everything, and then I fell asleep. But I did watch. I saw the first knockdown with Charlo against Williams, which that jab, and that was my favorite part of the whole night. I thought Mares looked really good. I thought the guy that what's that guy's name that fought Ray Beltran?
Oh, Mason Menard.
I thought he looked crappy. I mean, I was, everyone had hyped this guy up.
Yeah, he had looked amazing in some of his performances, but
he was bad.
Beltran is an experienced guy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Klitschko Anthony Joshua fight. I mean, that's an incredible fight.
What an event that's going to be in Europe.
I mean, and
Next
the other
April.
thing is
coming up.
that
And hey, Anthony Joshua looked amazing. I know the guy he was fighting wasn't really interested in fighting, Eric Molina, but Joshua still looks like the truth. And but definitely the performance of the weekend, in my opinion, Jermall Charlo.
he was incredible.
He was, what a statement. And he looks like a monster at junior middleweight. And even though he hasn't had his first fight at 160 pounds, he looks like he'll be a monster at middleweight. Oh my God,
But
this
he
guy.
did not mention Triple G.
Good for him.
Yeah,
Good for him.
yeah. But the other thing of
Other people have, of course. They
speaking
can't
of-
help themselves.
Speaking of Triple G, I know positively, there he is, that Jacobs doesn't want to fight him. So I think that
Somebody doesn't want that fight to happen.
he doesn't want it to happen. And what's going to happen? They're going to have the purse bid, and then he's going to give up the title.
Yeah.
And then, so I'd like to see. There's a lot of guys that Triple G can fight, like who's the guy from Ireland?
Andy Lee.
Andy Lee. He could fight Andy Lee. I mean, he beats him easily.
I'd like to see him fight Toriano
And
Johnson after Johnson gets a tune-up fight.
Yeah, Johnson's fighting, I think, in a week or two, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
I hope
yeah,
so.
I just saw something. And so Triple G needs to fight someone. And no matter what, the other fights he had, he couldn't lose them, but they were events. They were great. It was exciting. Everyone was happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really good.
I think Triple G is the best live event to go to as a fan if you're into boxing. For boxing fans, it's just
exciting. I mean, he goes in there.
He delivers. He gives you what you want.
He's 100-1 favorite. He knocks the guy out in the second round, and no one wants to leave. They're so happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
And everybody's there early too.
Yeah, and you can't ask for more than that.
It's
So
a
what we're going
great
to do
atmosphere.
is I'm going to have Doug jump for 1 minute, and he's going to time. He's going to tell you, like at
when I hit 60 seconds.
He'll tell you at 60 seconds.
All right.
So we're going to do that now.
I think you're a lot better at this than I am, Dave.
Okay. So this is a good trick, and
tell them what we've been doing though. We skip the rope and then we run.
Yeah. So what we do is we run a couple hundreds, then we do the rope. Then okay, I'm going to time Doug right now. It started, and he's going to tell
Good
you.
that you don't trust my inner clock.
So what we did is we did a couple hundreds, then we jumped rope, then a couple more hundreds, then jumped rope again. Try to time ourselves and see what our inner clock is like. So,
yours is better than mine.
well, I have a lot of practice at it, so.
What we also do, folks, is you guys on this Periscope, you guys hear Dave quiz me, but I sometimes toss some boxing trivia at Dave. And Dave had brought up a Mexican heavyweight title challenger, and I think he's right. He asked me who was the last Mexican-born fighter to challenge for the heavyweight title. because Andy Ruiz challenged for the WBO title last night against Joseph Parker, and I got it. It was Manuel Ramos. 1 minute?
Exactly.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was very good.
And then I asked Dave, Manuel Ramos fought Joe Frazier in 1968. And I asked Dave, who were the 2 top 10 contenders that Ramos beat, upset, to get that title shot? Dave got one of them, Eddie Machen. And the other guy was Ernie Terrell.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you want to do a minute?
I'm going to do 33 seconds.
33 seconds sounds good.
I'm going to use my rope.
By the way, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Garcia Poker.
And how can you get these t-shirts? Do you know?
Yeah, how can you? Go to Sam Garcia's
Instagram,
right?
At Sam Garcia or at Garcia, I'm not sure, but
It's probably Garcia Boxing, right?
His website's coming out. So I'm going to do 33 seconds. And we're ready to start, Doug?
Hang on. All right, folks, here we go. See. Look at Coach go. Uh-oh.
Did you keep the clock going?
Of course I did. Come on, I'm a professional.
Okay. That's 20.
It's actually 23.
That's 30.
Nah,
Is that right?
33 now. Dave was more on point off camera, and he didn't trip up either.
Doug was making me nervous.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, so I have some questions for Dougie.
All right, you want to go grab him?
Let me get them.
By the way, that fight, the Joseph Parker, Andy Ruiz fight, good fight. Good brisk 12-round heavyweight contest. And I think both guys would have been green prospects just a couple decades ago. But in this era right now, one of them's a title holder and the other one's a legit top 10 contender. But they're going to be a lot of fun for at least 4 or 5 more years. I think we're going to get a lot of good fights out of both guys. And maybe a rematch, yeah. You know.
It's a fair rematch.
Yeah. So you got him?
So during the week there was on the internet was something of KO of Sugar Ray knocking out Bubba Olsen. And so there's this friend of ours, his name is Dean Hamilton. He knows all about boxing. And he went crazy on this video of Sugar Ray knocking out Bubba Olsen.
Yeah.
So let me just, Dean Hamilton's dad was one of the greatest boxing minds of all time.
Coach,
and so
the original coach.
I was thinking of some
Hamilton.
great boxing minds. I'll give you a list. I put Emil Brusa.
Amilcar Brusa.
I mean, was he good?
Yeah, the greatest boxing trainer out of South America. And in my opinion, one of the greatest of all times. He's the guy who made the great Carlos Monzon. Took him from a skinny teenager with no experience, no boxing acumen or technique, and forged this diamond in the rough into one of the greatest middleweights of all time. And some people argue that he's the greatest middleweight champion of all time, even above Sugar Ray Robinson. I don't agree with that, but whatever. I don't argue against it because Monzon was amazing.
Well, we saw Emil Brusa in action. He was training at the La Brea gym.
I think he trained about 13 or 14 world champions.
And we would see him, and he was like in his mid to late 70s when we were in contact with him. And he would, they didn't go up to the mountains or anything. They would run in the streets of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And every one of his fighters, as they walked up to the ring, hit their peak.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he didn't.
He was really against overtraining.
Yeah.
None of his fighters were ever overtrained.
And not a lot of sparring.
No.
And this is what he
Never
would do.
more than like 4 rounds
And he would,
at a time.
You know, he was like a professor, and he would write everything down,
Yeah.
exactly what they did.
Sure
and
did.
they would, at 1 o'clock every day, the training would be over. Emil Bruce would have lunch with a bottle of wine and then pass out. every day.
Yeah, every day.
So I was thinking of some other great.
The Klitschko brothers learned from Emil Carr. The Klitschko brothers
and Don
learned
Familton.
from Don Familton. Yeah, they watched everything. They just absorbed boxing knowledge like sponges because they trained there together for a few years. This was the La Brea Boxing Academy at La Brea and probably Wilshire, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right there at the corner.
Yeah,
Not far from the La Brea Bakery.
exactly.
Right? Am I right?
1 block away.
About 1 block away. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I give you another great mind, Bill Miller.
Yes.
Detroit, Michigan.
He developed a raw James Toney, a guy
Right.
who did not have an extensive amateur career.
Right.
Dude who was a hothead, difficult to deal with. And Miller and James got along enough
Yeah.
for Miller to build this foundation from which an arguably all-time great fighter was built. I think James Toney was the only thing that keeps James Toney from being great was his lack of discipline, his own sloth.
And he still might be one of the greatest of all
And
time.
he still might. I mean,
he
can
was
you imagine?
incredible.
He wasn't. We didn't see James Toney at his best because he never really had
Yeah.
his personal life together.
Right.
And that's the story for a lot of these guys. A lot of folks say, you know, these Hall of Famers, see, these guys, they got every bit of their potential out. It's the rare guy who's like the overachiever who gets more out of his potential, like Evander Holyfield. I put him in that category.
Or
But a
Carlos
lot of-
Palomino.
Or Carlos Palomino, yeah. He far exceeded his expectations and he got 100% out of his ability. A lot of these guys, and I'll tell you, like Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, Fernando Vargas, all these guys are either in the Hall of Fame now or they will be. We didn't really see them at their best. There was something that could have been better, whether it was their choice of trainer or how they prepared and that kind of thing. We didn't really see them. We didn't really see their ultimate potential. Or something psychological holding them back. And I'll throw Roy Jones Jr. in there too, Dave.
Roy Jones.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think he could have been better than he was.
But I can't read the questions, but
The sun came out.
Yeah, the sun came out. But we were just talking about Doug and I were talking about Roy Jones before. Wow, I mean, for a guy that got knocked out like that, who's had all those fights, he is so together.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy
Sounds
is like,
great. He looks great.
he sounds incredible. He's really smart. He looks fantastic.
He might actually sound better now
Yeah.
than he did in his fighting days.
And he really knows.
Right?
He really knows his stuff. So okay, I'll give you another. And the reason I was thinking of all this is when
Great
Dean
boxing
Familton
minds.
called me, and I was thinking of his dad. I mean, his dad, Don Familton.
Oh man,
I
he
mean,
knew
this
everything.
guy. I mean, he not only was brilliant, but he knew how to teach.
Yeah.
And he had it together. He really knew his stuff. So another guy I have down here, Emmanuel Stewart, who I wasn't one of his biggest fans,
Yeah.
but the job he did with Vladimir is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Vladimir Klitschko.
yeah. I mean, that's like
What
active
about the
genius.
job he did with Lennox Lewis?
Right. But
Yeah, we
same
should
kind
say
of guy. Same kind of guy.
He had two athletically gifted heavyweights who were also great amateurs. They were both Olympic gold medalists.
Yeah.
But when Manny had them, they were coming off terrible losses, knockout losses. Their psyches were shattered, and he
Right.
put that together and gave them a fighting style where they got the most out of their height, reach, and size.
Right.
He
and
really
it was
did.
it was more than one disaster before he took him over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you.
Cool.
So who knocked out Lennox Lewis?
Well, first it was Oliver McCall in 1994.
Right.
And then it was Hassan Rahman
Right.
in South Africa in
Yeah.
2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that stuff.
You remember everything, Dougie.
No,
It's amazing.
You can go far.
Speaking of brains, they're going to have to put Dougie's brain into something later
Pickle-
on and
pickle
figure
jar.
out. Okay, I tell you another guy who's Freddie Roach.
Yeah.
I mean, look what he did.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
that's
a legit
incredible.
Hall of Famer. And people forget that you go back far enough, Freddie Roach, you know, he was an understudy of Eddie Futch, and he started working with Marlon Starling and Virgil Hill. Years ago, decades ago. You know what I mean? Like late 80s, early 90s, he was working with these guys. He did some work with Stevie Collins. But I think before Pacquiao, his amazing job was bringing James Toney back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like Emmanuel Stewart was really good at rebuilding guys, I think Freddie Roach was really good at taking these veteran fighters who people thought were finished for whatever reason, bringing them back. He did a great job with Miguel Cotto.
Israel Vasquez.
Or guys who people thought were exposed as prospects, like, you know, like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Just no one took him seriously, and for good reason. And congrats to Julio on his fight last night. And Amir Khan, who had been knocked out. People were like, shh, he'll never be anything. He can't take a shot. And it's true. The trainer can't give him a chin, but he had him boxing in a confident way to where he had a terrific run. You know what I mean? So a lot of people will say that Freddie Roach is overrated. And I think in some areas he's actually underrated because people have already forgotten about amazing things that he did. And really, taking on James Toney at a time when everyone said James Toney was just a fat slob and was uncoachable and that let him down.
That was true.
It was true, but it worked. Freddie
was great with
somehow made it work and brought him back to the point where he not only won a world title at cruiserweight, it was an all-time great cruiserweight fight against Vasily Girov, 2003. His very next fight, he beats Evander Holyfield. And he was an underdog in both of those fights, and he was Fighter of the Year that year. Ring Magazine's Fighter of the Year for 2003, 12 years after he won it, after beating Michael Nunn and holding Mike McCallum to a draw in 1991. That's incredible shit, people. It really is, and Roach was a part of that.
And teaching Manny Pacquiao how to use his right hand.
Yeah, making Manny Pacquiao a complete fighter.
So I'll give you another guy, Jackie McCoy.
Jackie McCoy, wow. Trainer, manager.
He was ahead of his time.
And he had everybody in this area.
He had 5 world champs.
Right. His first one was Don Jordan, right? The welterweight.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jordan was like a welterweight in the early 60s.
Who did he beat for that?
Was it Virgil Akins?
Yeah. And I'll give you another guy that I think he's still around. He's real quiet, and he's really good, and he really knows his stuff, is Don Turner.
Don Turner.
Don Turner.
Yeah. Don Turner is a big part of Sergey Kovalev's come up.
Yeah.
I like Randy Shields. I don't know if Tommy Brooks is still out there doing it, but those two are terrific. Yeah, those two are terrific.
Wait, who was Tommy Brooks related? He was to the Duvas.
Yeah. And he was, I think he was an understudy maybe of George Benson. And now we have a lot of great, former champions who are trainers now, like John David Jackson and Robert Garcia.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Hey, Robert
Some young guys to keep an eye on, people. Manny Robles, and he's not that young, but he's certainly not old, is Joel Diaz.
Yeah.
They got some. And Diaz is training and managing as well. And he's got a lot of really terrific young talent.
But, since Robert Diaz split from Brandon Rios, he's so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, that took all his energy.
It took all his energy dealing with Brandon.
I mean, Brandon Rios is a job.
Yeah. Drama king.
He is. But
and do you think he's going to fight?
Yeah, for sure.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Our other favorite drama king?
Yeah, Carlos.
Vic Ortiz.
Victor
Ortiz.
They're fighting.
They're calling that Bad Blood 2 or something, but I'll watch it.
Oh,
I'm not going to be there live. That's going to be like an idiot convention.
I think I just saw the date.
Can you imagine Bam Bam Rios fans, which are just like thug fools, and then I don't know who the Victor Ortiz faithful are. They're probably really cool guys, but they're probably total space cadets. So that's just like a convergence of, I don't know, too much idiocy for my taste. But I'll watch it or stream it, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Good for them though. Kansas or Garden City, Kansas. Both those guys.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And then they both wind up in Oxnard.
Yeah.
So who do you like in that fight?
Rios.
Yeah.
I'll go with the thug. I'll be rooting for Ortiz though. He's a good-natured space cadet. I like him. Bro hugs for everybody. And he's like, dude's in shape.
And they're both out of their minds.
Yeah, totally.
Completely.
They're bad
Yeah.
shit. They shouldn't call it bad blood. They should call it bad shit.
So are you looking forward to the B-Hop fight?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bernard. It's been an honor covering Bernard Hopkins' career. And people say that I jock ride him. That I kissed his ass or whatever, and it's like they don't even know. Like, I was on Bernard's shit list for years. I respect the man. Respect is respect. You don't have to like me. I don't have to like you.
Yeah.
If you're the real deal, as Bernard Hopkins is, you have my respect. And I can break it down for anyone who cares to listen, man. This dude is right up there with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather and all the other people that fight fans and media say are the modern greats, the best of this past era, the best of the past 20 years. I say Bernard is right there because he's got a head start on these suckers, because he turned pro in 1988, and when he was winning his first world title, Manny Pacquiao was a complete nobody, 1-0, 2-0 in the Philippines. Floyd Mayweather was still fighting for trophies and losing to guys,
But the most important thing,
Yeah.
I mean, what he did with his life.
Yeah.
I mean, here's
He's
a
a great
guy
story.
in jail for 5 years.
And he didn't have their talent either. He didn't have their natural talent. Those
No,
dudes are talented,
but-
man. Like, athletically gifted. And Bernard,
Right.
yeah, he's a good athlete, but he's not Roy Jones. You know what I'm saying? He had to really learn. He's here because of craft and discipline.
Yeah.
Just a will that is on par with the greatest of all time. He really is. His willpower is amazing. And his willingness to challenge himself at an age and point in his career where he didn't need the money, he didn't need the risk. You know what I mean?
Well, the other
Just
thing,
to do it. That's a real competitor.
But he's disciplined with his money too.
Oh, he has every dime he ever made.
And he owns a lot of real estate. And every time I might have mentioned this before, but every time I'm going to have something to eat that I shouldn't have,
Yeah,
I think
like
of
a cup of
Bernard.
ice cream, you're like,
I think of Bernard, and I put it down.
Yeah.
And he's my hero.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is incredible.
Nah, he's awesome.
So
now, of course, I'm looking forward. I think that's a good card. I like that HBO triple header. I'm looking forward to just seeing Alexander Usyk fight live. The cruiserweight just has 10 fights.
10 fights.
Just 10 fights, and
Yeah.
he's the WBO champ, and he's fighting a real contender out of South Africa, a guy who can really fight and box. And so, I mean, they're doing it the right way. This guy's like one of those badass amateurs, right? World amateur champion and Olympic gold medalist. And it's like, yeah, you have that kind of amateur background, be like his countryman and teammate, Vasil Lomachenko. Go for it, man. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Go for that gold. Sooner rather than later. If you're a mature cat and you've got all those amateur bouts, those are like, if you have 400 amateur fights, that's like having 20 fights.
And you know what you're doing.
He knows what he's doing, exactly.
they're really good.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm looking forward to watching that cat.
So I'm going to give you our ending today. Dougie is incredible, and I have so many people who call me and every week, and they just can't believe he keeps coming up with these answers. So anyway, Dougie, you got it together. So anyway, everyone this week, think positive. Be real positive about everything. Sleep a lot. Sleep's really important.
Take naps.
Taking naps, drinking a lot of water, loving everybody.
Don't overeat.
Eat small
meals.
portions.
Chew
Watch
your
what
food
you
carefully.
eat. You got to exercise.
Yeah, exercise.
Love everybody. Love everything. And Dougie?
Always take the high road.